form a more perfect union. We wrote a constitution and a bill of rights for life and liberty. In democracy, we carry responsibilities. In democracy, we need everyone to see that our democracy is counting on you and me.
Marietta is located in the southeast corner of Ohio on the Muskingum and Ohio River. It was established in 1788 as the first settlement in the Northwest Territory. Marietta is the county seat for Washington County. It has a mayor, city council form of government. City council consists of 4 ward council people, 3 at-large council people, which represent the entire city, and a president of council. City Council meets the first and third Thursday of each month in the Armory, and that's an opportunity for the public to come and speak and let council know what you're thinking.
Good evening, this is Joyce Robinson, and I'm working on a project with some other citizens called Living Democracy, Engaging Citizens. And one of our main goals is to inform citizens of the workings of municipal government. So tonight we are interviewing and discussing the issues with the city of Marietta with Councilwoman Shoaf. Thank you for doing this.
Absolutely.
Cassidy, and I sent you an email with questions.
Yes.
Prepared. Okay.
We will see.
Okay. What motivated you to run for city council?
I've been interested in politics ever since taking a government class in high school. I didn't really know how to make it fit into my life, but when I was a young mother, I started doing more volunteer stuff, and then actually had somebody call and ask if I would want to run for council, and it's something I'd prayed about, and I thought that they were joking because it just seemed like this dream come true opportunity. So it was just the right time, if it had happened the previous, well, even because I had a baby, so I ran in the general. I filled somebody's position from the primary, and I was really pregnant and giving birth during the primary. So if it had happened then, I wouldn't have been able to do it. So the timing was
just right.
Yes.
Now, have you run for re-election?
I have, yeah.
That's what I thought.
This is my 3rd term currently.
Okay. Are you intending to run again?
I am on the ballot, yes.
Okay, well, good for you.
With a whole bunch of people. It's a busy election season.
I know that you're on 3 committees. Which committee do you chair?
I chair employee relations.
How much of the budget of the city is spent on employee relations, salaries rather, and benefits?
A lot of it. I don't remember what the exact percentage is, but the majority of what the general, if we decided to cut everything we could cut, it's still a significant amount of the money that would be going out.
Okay, so there's not much disposable income.
Right.
To pay for what we really would want. Okay, what other 2 committees are you on?
I'm also on water and sewer and finance.
Okay, well, water and sewer, Brett Elfman
Yes.
is the chairman, my neighbor.
Okay, yeah.
And finance is personnel as well as the city budget. So after you take away all the money for personnel and their benefits, what do you spend all the rest of the money on?
A lot of it goes to like materials for streets, materials to keep the water and sewer running. The water and sewer itself isn't a part of the general fund, so there are different funds within the city. The general fund is the one that has the most burden on it because it's the one that can be used in the most amount of ways. So money goes into there and then goes out from there to other types of funds. But a lot of the materials that you need to run the city by comes from that. You've got
Okay.
enterprise fund where vehicles come out of. There's that. I mean, there's
There's a little line item.
oh yes,
Okay.
the budget. I'm saying if you talk to Mike Scales, you'll learn it takes us about a week or two usually is how long it takes us to go through the budget, to review everything at the end of the year. And that's after the administration has put it all together. We are just reviewing it and asking questions and saying we're okay with this or we're not okay with that. And then we have to vote on it for it to actually formally pass and make it into an ordinance.
Challenging, very challenging. What projects are happening on your committee that you chair?
My committee focuses on salaries and job descriptions. So there aren't any actual ongoing projects like water and sewer but the biggest thing that's coming up for us are the labor negotiations that are all going to be kicking off this year. So usually it's every 3 years that we do it. So this will be the third round. I came in right as I started on council. There were labor negotiations that were closing, and then I've been through one, and this will be the start of the third one.
Seasoned veteran.
So we don't, as council, we approve it, but we're not involved in the negotiation of it. So it is, they definitely balance the power in that the administration runs the negotiations, and then they have to come to council and say this is a good thing, and we should, as a city, move forward and say yes to all of this.
But you do say no.
I have voted no on negotiations in the past.
Okay.
There have been times that I thought it was more than the city could
afford.
Yes.
How do you let our citizens know what they should be concerned about? How can they contact you?
A phone and email. I get probably more emails than I do get phone calls. And then just seeing people, that everybody knows me as the person if they want something from the city or they have a question about something, that I'm often.
You're always available, aren't you?
Yeah, and just, you go to the grocery store and you know somebody and they oh yeah, there was something about the city that I had a question about. Can I ask you?
My neighbor has the same question.
Yes.
What is the most challenging issue before the city?
Probably the labor negotiations. It sets the tone so much of what else can happen within the city. And now with all of the issues that are going on after COVID and how prices have increased and inflation has gone off the charts, there's definitely a lot of things up in the air as to what will come from the labor negotiations, and then how we'll be, that's like the entire game plan for the next few years. So it's hard to plan without knowing what's going to come from those.
Right. I'm curious. You were talking about being pregnant. How have you balanced being a young mother, raising children, with being on city council, which demands a lot of time?
It does.
And how have you managed to do that?
Sometimes with a baby in tow. I have brought 2 of my children I've had while being on council, and they've come with me for the first few months of their lives because I didn't work full-time then, so there was nothing besides this that I was leaving them for.
Okay.
So that was extremely helpful that everyone was supportive of me being able to bring the baby until they got too loud and rambunctious and had a personality of their own. But like going door to door, the kids just go with me. We just went this past weekend for someone, and one of my children wanted to go, and so we went and knocked doors together.
Okay, now do you work full-time now?
I just stopped working full-time.
Just
I have, for the past year I've been working full-time, and it was a lot to juggle. Yes, 4 small children and
4 small children?
Yes.
I thought you only had 3.
Another one squeezed her way out of there.
All right. Okay, well, bless your heart. Well, would you recommend being a mother and a council person at the same time.
Yeah, I absolutely would. I mean, from a citizen standpoint, having someone who has the future in mind when making decisions, that they're not just making decisions for today, but they're hoping that this is a great place to live in 20, 30 years whenever their kids are grown up and adults. But also, it's really a way to be able to contribute and serve without it having to be a 40 hours a week.
Right.
And it works out well because my husband's home in the evenings, so I can be home with the kids during the day, and then when all of this takes place in the evening, then he has the kids with him.
Well, what do you consider to be Marietta's biggest challenge?
I think the focusing on setting Marietta up for the future is something that historically in the last decade or so that we've been more short-sighted, that we've focused on getting projects done now. And I think in politics in general, it's hard to look past the next few years because there's always an election coming up. And if you're not making progress now, people are wondering what you're doing. But if you are trying to get things set up for the long term, that sometimes that doesn't have as immediate of an effect and things that you can brag about.
So does the city have a strategic plan?
We are actually in the midst of getting one together. So that's been something that since I started running for council that I wanted to see happen, because it had been years since we had had anything like that in place. And so council this year has finally put money in place to have that happen. We're having a performance audit done, which we'd had one in 2007, I think, done. And it basically just looks at our city compared to other cities that are similar in size and location to see how they're performing and what gaps we might have or places that we can improve. So I think that we're really getting some solid data to be able to go off of and then really have a plan moving forward for where we want to see the city go. Instead of it just be a year over year, like, well, what about this year? What about next year?
Well,
that we're looking long term and setting our dominoes up.
Thank you. The voice of reason. I wondered why there wasn't a strategic plan. There should have been one for every single year since the existence of the city.
Well, that's what, coming from corporate world, I'm an industrial engineer, and I've seen it to where the uppermost structure of management would set goals for the business, and then it would trickle down to every department to where the people on the shop floor knew every shift I have to, these are the 3 things that are most important that I need to get done, and this is my goal for what I'm going to hit. Mm-hmm. And then to transition that into people who are like, well, we're just trying to do good every day. It's just so hard to do good at everything all the time. If you don't have specific goals that you're working towards, then
it's a mismatch.
Right, like people are all rowing really hard, but if everybody's not rowing in the wrong direction, you might not be getting anywhere. Everybody's worn out and frustrated.
Yeah. All right. What is the biggest asset that Marietta has? More than one?
Oh, I definitely think, just the area in general, there's such a different feel for me. I'm not from Ohio, I'm from West Virginia, but Marietta has such a local, homey feel, like with all the small businesses and the history that's here, that like there's something tangible how this is different than Parkersburg. And sorry, Parkersburg.
Great.
Well, we used to live in Parkersburg.
Okay.
Didn't really realize how much of a, like a draw Marietta had until you get into it and you live here. And we have family that we come and they're just shocked at how small Marietta feels, but at the same time has so many different attractions and the food that we have here. Like, I'm not a chain restaurant type of person, so to have all these small businesses, it hurts my pocketbook. That's one of the things whenever COVID started and having kids, like I don't go anywhere really. So when they started doing where you could get stuff delivered to your car, that's what I was doing all my life. Like, I feel like I'm contributing to a local economy by getting all of this food and somebody brings it to my car and I get my kids out of the car seat. So yeah, I mean, we have a lot of draw of bigger cities and like culture and history and the outdoor recreation, but the small town feel.
Yes, it's a very small town.
It's a really great balance.
Now, you have 4 girls? 4 girls?
3 girls and 1 boy.
3 girls, 1 boy. And do they go to public schools?
No, they go to Oak Grove Christian School.
Okay.
The oldest 3 do.
Okay. Well, how old are your children?
8, 6, 4, and almost 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm exhausted.
I bet you are exhausted, but bless your heart. And you're running again, that's even better. Is there anything that I've overlooked that you'd like to share?
I mean, one thing that I would say is for people to get involved. There are times that I pull my hair out trying to convince people of something, and then someone will come in from the public and make a request, and it happens like that. When I'm like, this is something I've been asking about, and nobody is listening. So just the amount of weight, you know, if there's something that you are passionate about and you want to see changed or an issue you have, coming and making your voice heard, at least in Marietta, makes a lot of difference. And so anytime somebody contacts me with a problem they have, that I always try to encourage them to come here and share publicly, because the wheels move so much faster that way. I don't know if it's that way in all cities. I'm sure it's not. So that's probably something that locally we're blessed with.
Well, you're a great spokesman for this town.
Yeah.
You really care about Marietta.
I do.
And you like the people.
I do.
You like
Yes.
Marietta has to
I would say
offer.
it's so nice to know people, and I mean that's something council has benefited me in so many ways. Like I enjoy serving. Just in general, I enjoy serving people, but there's also a whole bunch of like personal ways that I can benefit. Just to, you know, it's so nice to feel like it's home.
So you build up a lot of friendships and a lot of contacts through being
Yeah.
on city council.
Yeah. So I mean, my husband might complain that I get asked, and I'm always pulled aside for something when we're out and about.
You can't say no,
enjoy
is
that.
that what you're telling me?
Oh yes, I struggle with the
say
no
no.
word.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
It's been delightful. Is there anything else you want to share before we go?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's delightful, and I'm so glad to hear you have 4 more kids. 4 kids. Okay, well, thanks so much.
You're
Cassidy.
welcome.
And
Cassidy, can you tell us where you're going now?
I'm going to a council meeting. It starts at 24 minutes, so I'm here early.
Well, maybe
A large set of ordinances and resolutions on the docket tonight, so it'll probably be a late meeting. So there is a benefit that I miss bedtime. I get to come home and all the kids are asleep. I don't mind those nights.
so 7:30.
7:30, yep, first and third Thursdays of the month, we have council at the Armory.
Okay, and people are able to talk?
Absolutely, yep. There is a time in the agenda that people are able to come and share any concerns or ask questions they have. We typically are allowed to answer questions at that time, but it's a way for people to get their voice out there. If you really want like have a discussion, committee meetings, at least that's the way ours run, is the best time to do that.
now there's a time limit, correct? 3 minutes?
For tonight there is, in committees, it depends on how the chair runs them, but tonight is really just set up to hear the public on items and to vote on the resolution.
Are there any ordinances or resolutions that are controversial
Tonight, nothing that stands out. A lot of times there has been so much discussion in committees
Okay.
that by the time it gets here, that most people
I made up
are
my mind.
on board.
Okay.
Yeah, that there are times that you get in and you wonder, how is it going to go? But so often you hear people in committees and you know, like, the person's going to be a no. There's no way they're saying yes to this.
And how does someone find out about a committee meeting when it is?
They are posted on the city's website. There's a calendar on there, and then they're also at the Armory. They post them outside the door here. I would love to be able to see us have more stuff on our Facebook page, since Facebook seems like a mode of communication that so many people use, but it is on our website, so the city calendar on there.
So that's Marietta, Ohio.
MariettaOH.net.
Okay.
And that's the same with your email, correct, for city council?
Yep, at MariettaOH.net. Yes.
Okay. Anything else you want to share?
I don't think so.
Okay, great.